WWE has been selling you a fairy tale about the Shield's unbreakable brotherhood for over a decade, but the real story behind Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Jon Moxley's relationship will make you question everything you believe about wrestling friendships. What I'm about to reveal about their backstage dynamics will prove that WWE's brothers for life narrative is nothing more than corporate marketing designed to manipulate your emotions. The Shield wasn't formed because three wrestlers had natural chemistry. They were thrown together by WWE's developmental system and told to make it work or face career consequences. Roman Reigns was the chosen golden boy from day one, Seth Rollins was the technical workhorse expected to carry the workload, and Jon Moxley was the wild card who was supposed to add edge to an otherwise corporate-friendly stable. But here's what WWE will never admit. The tension between these three performers started before they even debuted on the main roster. Behind the scenes at NXT, Creative was already playing favorites, giving Roman the protection and opportunities while forcing Seth and Mox to prove themselves through increasingly dangerous performances that left lasting physical damage. WWE's systematic destruction of the Shield's brotherhood began the moment they decided Roman Reigns would be their next John Cena. Every creative decision from that point forward was designed to elevate Roman at the expense of his supposed brothers, creating resentment and competition that destroyed the authentic friendship that had developed during their early days together. The 2014 Shield breakup wasn't a creative masterstroke, it was WWE's solution to a backstage situation that had become unmanageable. Seth Rollins' heel turn was presented as a shocking betrayal, but insiders revealed that all three members had been lobbying for months to escape a stable that was limiting their individual creative development. Roman Reigns' immediate push to main event status after the Shield dissolved proved that WWE had never viewed the group as equals. While Roman got handed championship opportunities and WrestleMania main events, Seth had to earn his spot through years of brutal ladder matches and dangerous spots that shortened his career. Meanwhile, Jon Moxley was relegated to comedy segments and creative burial designed to keep him from challenging Roman's position. The most infuriating part of WWE's Shield mythology is how they portray Roman Reigns as the loyal brother who stayed true to the group's values. In reality, Roman was the beneficiary of a corporate protection system that his brothers never received. His leukemia diagnosis generated genuine sympathy, but WWE immediately used his health crisis as storyline material rather than respecting his privacy during a difficult time. Seth Rollins' multiple injuries during his main event push weren't just bad luck, they were the inevitable result of WWE's booking philosophy that required him to take increasingly dangerous bumps to prove he deserved the opportunities that Roman received without question. His knee injury in 2015 and back problems in subsequent years stemmed directly from the physical abuse he endured trying to live up to impossible expectations. Jon Moxley's departure from WWE wasn't just about creative frustration, it was about escaping a toxic environment where his supposed brothers had access to opportunities and protection that were systematically denied to him. The Dean Ambrose character wasn't just bad booking, it was deliberate sabotage designed to prove that Roman was the only Shield member worthy of main event status. The Shield's reunion tours were nothing more than nostalgia cash grabs designed to generate temporary rating spikes without addressing the fundamental problems that drove the group apart in the first place. WWE brought them back together whenever they needed a ratings boost, but never acknowledged the corporate favoritism that had destroyed their original chemistry. Roman Reigns' position as the tribal chief represents everything wrong with WWE's approach to the Shield's legacy. While Roman enjoys the protection and creative freedom that comes with being WWE's chosen one, his former brothers face constant scrutiny and pressure to prove their worth in ways that Roman has never been required to endure. The real betrayal of the Shield wasn't Seth Rollins' heel turn, it was WWE's decision to sacrifice two-thirds of their most successful stable to push one member who fans consistently rejected. The company destroyed the organic chemistry between three performers to force a corporate-approved main event star down the audience's throat. WWE's handling of the Shield's individual careers reveals the company's fundamental dishonesty about equal opportunity and merit-based advancement. Roman's success came through corporate mandate, Seth's came through physical sacrifice, and Jon's was deliberately sabotaged to maintain the hierarchy that WWE had established before the group even formed. The brotherhood narrative that WWE promotes in their Shield documentaries completely ignores the backstage politics that drove wedges between the three performers. Roman's protected status created resentment, Seth's workload created physical breakdown, and Jon's creative restrictions created frustration that ultimately led to his departure from the company. Roman Reigns' leukemia announcement wasn't just a personal health revelation, it was WWE's opportunity to rewrite the Shield's history and portray Roman as a sympathetic hero rather than acknowledging the corporate favoritism that had defined his career. The company used his legitimate health crisis to justify years of unpopular booking decisions. Seth Rollins' transformation from the architect to Monday Night Messiah represented his attempt to escape the Shield's shadow and establish an individual identity separate from the group that had both made and limited his career. But WWE's creative team consistently undermined his efforts by booking him in ways that reminded fans of his Shield connections rather than allowing him to develop as a standalone character. The most damaging aspect of WWE's Shield favoritism was how it affected the wrestling abilities of all three performers. Roman was protected from situations that might expose his limitations, Seth was pushed beyond his physical limits to compensate for Roman's weaknesses, and John was prevented from showcasing his strengths to avoid overshadowing Roman's weaknesses. Jon Moxley's success in AEW proves that the Shield's creative problems weren't due to lack of talent. They were the result of WWE's systematic suppression of two-thirds of the group to protect their chosen golden boy. Moxley's AEW World Championship reign accomplished more for his individual credibility than his entire Shield run combined. The wrestling industry's reaction to the Shield's breakup reveals how much potential WWE wasted through their favoritism strategy. Independent promotions, New Japan, and eventually AEW proved that Seth Rollins and Jon Moxley were capable of main event success when freed from the corporate restrictions that had limited their WWE careers. Roman Reigns' current character development as the Tribal Chief came only after WWE finally acknowledged that their original Roman Reigns push had failed. It took over 5 years of fan rejection and declining ratings for the company to admit that their corporate-mandated Superman character wasn't working with audiences. The Shield's merchandise sales patterns reveal the artificial nature of WWE's brotherhood narrative. Roman's individual merchandise consistently underperformed compared to Seth and John's products, proving that fans connected more with the performers WWE was holding back than with their chosen corporate representative. WWE's treatment of the Shield's reunion matches demonstrates their continued prioritization of Roman over his former teammates. Even when the three wrestlers appeared together, creative decisions consistently positioned Roman as the group's leader and primary focus, relegating Seth and John to supporting roles in their own comeback story. The physical toll of the Shield's original run fell disproportionately on Seth Rollins and Jon Moxley, who were expected to carry the group's workload while Roman was protected from situations that might result in injury or poor performance. This created an unsustainable dynamic that contributed to the resentment that ultimately destroyed their friendship. Roman Reigns' booking protection extended to his interactions with other main event stars, creating situations where his Shield brothers were expected to make Roman look strong at the expense of their own character development. Seth and John's individual feuds often served to enhance Roman's storylines rather than advancing their own careers. The most shocking revelation about the Shield's backstage dynamics is how WWE's favoritism system prevented the three wrestlers from developing the authentic friendship that their on-screen chemistry suggested. Corporate politics and booking hierarchy created artificial barriers between performers who might have otherwise maintained genuine personal relationships. WWE's decision to break up the Shield through Seth Rollins' betrayal angle was designed to generate heat for Seth while protecting Roman from responsibility for the group's dissolution. The storyline portrayed Seth as the ambitious traitor while positioning Roman as the loyal victim, despite the fact that Roman was receiving preferential treatment throughout their partnership. The contrast between the Shield's booking and other successful wrestling stables reveals WWE's fundamental misunderstanding of what made the group special. While other factions were built on equal partnership and shared success, the Shield was constructed as a vehicle for Roman's eventual solo push, undermining the collaborative chemistry that fans had embraced. Jon Moxley's departure from WWE eliminated any possibility of a genuine Shield reunion based on mutual respect and shared creative vision. His success outside WWE's system proves that the group's problems weren't personality conflicts, they were systemic issues with how WWE approaches talent development and creative collaboration. The Shield's legacy has been permanently damaged by WWE's short-sighted favoritism strategy that prioritized one performer's corporate-mandated push over the long-term success of their most organically popular stable. What could have been wrestling's greatest brotherhood story became a cautionary tale about corporate interference destroying authentic performer chemistry. Roman Reigns' eventual character evolution into the Tribal Chief came only after WWE was forced to acknowledge that their original Shield favoritism strategy had failed. The company spent years trying to manufacture the success that Roman's Shield brothers had achieved naturally before finally allowing him to develop a character that worked with audiences. The wrestling industry's current landscape reflects the long-term consequences of WWE's Shield mismanagement. Jon Moxley became AEW's biggest star, Seth Rollins struggled for years to escape the Shield's shadow, and Roman Reigns required a complete character overhaul to achieve the success that WWE had tried to force-feed audiences for half a decade. WWE's treatment of the Shield represents the company's broader failure to understand that manufactured success rarely generates the same audience investment as organic character development. Their attempt to artificially elevate Roman Reigns came at the expense of two performers who had earned their positions through talent and fan support. The Shield's story isn't a tale of brotherhood overcoming adversity, it's a case study in how corporate favoritism can destroy the very thing that companies are trying to promote. WWE's systematic elevation of Roman Reigns at the expense of Seth Rollins and Jon Moxley eliminated any possibility of the genuine partnership that had made the group special in the first place. The most tragic aspect of the Shield's dissolution is how WWE's favoritism prevented three talented performers from achieving the collective success that their individual abilities suggested was possible. Instead of nurturing the chemistry that had made them the company's most popular act, WWE sacrificed two careers to manufacture one corporate-approved superstar. Roman Reigns' current success as the Tribal Chief proves that he was always capable of connecting with audiences when freed from the corporate restrictions that had defined his Shield-era character. But his eventual triumph came at the cost of relationships and opportunities that can never be recovered. The Shield's legacy serves as a warning to current WWE performers about the dangers of corporate favoritism and the importance of maintaining creative control over their own characters. The group that could have defined a generation of wrestling instead became a cautionary tale about how quickly corporate politics can destroy authentic performer chemistry. Seth Rollins and Jon Moxley's post-Shield careers demonstrate the resilience required to overcome WWE's systematic favoritism and establish individual identities separate from corporate-mandated group dynamics. Their eventual success came despite WWE's efforts to limit their potential in service of Roman Reigns' manufactured push. The wrestling industry's evolution since the Shield's breakup has proven that WWE's favoritism strategy was not only morally questionable but also financially short-sighted. The company could have had three main event stars instead of spending years trying to force one performer into a position that two others had earned more naturally. The Shield's story represents professional wrestling's most expensive missed opportunity, the sacrifice of authentic chemistry and organic fan investment for the sake of corporate control and predetermined outcomes that satisfied no one except the executives who had created the flawed system in the first place.